So Vitali says, "Hey Luke, do you have any favorite quotes?" And I do. I'm going to share them and maybe talk about what I think they mean and why I like them. So the first one is by a guy most people don't know, but someone I really like to listen to. His name is Terence McKenna, no longer living, but he was well known for being what's called a psychonaut. But he lectured on a lot of other subjects as well. Psychonaut is someone who talks about hallucinogenic drugs, and that's why people would come and listen to him speak. But he actually talked about a lot of really interesting stuff like shamanism and alchemy. And one quote that always stuck with me is, and I'm going to just read it here, "If you don't have a plan, you become part of someone else's plan." I really like that one. What does that mean? That means, to me, as you navigate life, you can choose your path. One of the easiest paths to choose is to sort of wrap yourself around someone else's path, right? And just sort of float along down the river. So if you let other people, maybe stronger personalities or whatever, if you let other people make the big decisions and you kind of go along with it, then you're kind of just floating, and maybe that's good. But for me, I've always found it more satisfying to make my own choices in life, or at least try to think about my own choices in life, make my own plans in life. And that, for me, specifically relates to work. I've always had this feeling of a job. And a job, when you work for others, your work is all going toward other people's goals. So someone, wherever you're working, someone has created a goal for this company, maybe it's Microsoft or whatever, and you're working every day for their goal. Was that your own goal? Well, it could be. Maybe your goal is to make money, and that's your goal. Okay, great. But I've always resonated with the idea of having goals myself that are my goals about my life and moving toward those with my efforts through my own thoughts, right? I found that to be a little bit more interesting and exciting. So I think that's what it means. I don't think it's specifically about work, right, and working for a company, because that's a very normal thing to do, of course. But I think it's a good way to think. Am I just floating along, or am I making my life choices really? Am I just accepting what's normal? Or am I just sort of saying, oh, well, maybe other people have figured this out and I'll just do what most people do? Anyway, one I like. Okay. The other one is from Picasso. Pablo Picasso, obviously very famous painter. And famous in a very important way. So Picasso was a very influential person in establishing a completely new form of art, breaking apart the way that art was done before. But before he started doing that, he actually knew how to paint very well. He had a period called his Blue Period. If you search Blue Period Picasso, you'll see a bunch of fairly normal-looking paintings. Then things started to get more abstract. And that's when he started really playing around with shapes and, noses that are barely noses, and is that even a person? He started playing around with that to shatter art. But the thing that he said then was, learn the rules like a pro so that you can break them like an artist. So what does that mean? I think that means if you never learn the rules, then you don't know really what you're doing. It's kind of just random, and you're less likely to have an influence on your field, on those around you, because you're just seen as this person way over there doing crazy stuff. But if you've mastered it first and you understand which rules you're breaking, then you can do that very precisely. And you've mastered it first, right? So you know what you're doing. You break the rules very precisely so that you can have the most impact, right? So that when people see it, they kind of understand what you're doing rather than just being sort of a crazy person way over there doing random things. And I think that's really good. I think that can be applied to language learning. If you say, well, native English speakers, they don't speak correctly all the time. Yes, that's true. That's true. But they probably do that just out of laziness, and most of the time a native English speaker will have learned the rules of the language either through natural interactions or in school, right? How to write, correct sentences and so on, spelling, that sort of thing. So in a sense, you've mastered the rules, and now you can kind of do whatever you want. So that's why you hear people not really following the rules. But what's the difference between someone who's learning the language not following the rules and someone who is a native user of the language not following the rules? Well, one is more like Picasso, and the other just didn't quite get there and said, well, it doesn't matter. But actually, it does matter, because what if you want to write a really professional email, but you don't know how? Well, the native English speaker probably can. Can you? So that's why it's good to first master it. Master it. Master the language. Get really good at it. Then do whatever you want. But don't start doing whatever you want. Learn the rules like a pro so that you can break them like an artist. The last one, which I think is really good, which has always stuck with me, is the beauty of art is a brief gasp between one cliche and another. And I've heard this quote slightly differently. The beauty of art is a brief gasp between two status quos. Either way, I'm not sure which one is accurate. This is from Ezra Pound. It's a commentary on art, but I think it's a little bit broader as well. What is a brief gasp? So this is the way things are done, like normal paintings. Okay, you're Picasso. Then you break all the rules, and then you establish a totally new type of painting. Oh, crazy. But then that becomes the new thing that everyone's doing. Everyone is doing abstract paintings now. So that's the new normal, the new status quo. So where's the beauty? The beauty is in that short period of time, the gasp, the breath between one norm and the next norm. And that's how you as a person change. That's how new things come out. That's how new technologies arrive. That's how new rules are made. That's how society evolves. So we have a natural desire to sort of, once something has changed, that's the new normal, let's keep it like that. But eventually that's going to start cracking, and a new thing is going to move forward, and there will be a new, then normal, and then another one and another one. And that's how I think that's how as individuals we grow. I also think that's a good thing to keep in mind, to constantly remind yourself not to pause, not to get stuck, to allow yourself to continue moving forward in art, but also in your own life, to not get stuck in a new status quo once you've made progress, to try to find the next one and the next one. At least that's what it means to me. So I hope you found those interesting. I find them very insightful. Guys, if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and also check out my full courses in the links in the description.